Thanks for checking out our video. Dr. Zion Willingham is currently discussing trauma-based mind control from a Christian perspective. Enjoy this conversation already in progress.
To just gloss over this. Because, I watch a lot of Christian preachers, and I've heard a lot of people tell their story, and they tell about the trauma that they've gone through. And even though they've gone through horrific things, and I'm sure in most cases it's not intentional, it's presented as a way of saying, well, hey, I went through this. So if I can go through it, you just need to get over it. But even if you were traumatized and even if you were abused, you can't tell someone who has been programmed that they need to just get over it. And programming doesn't always happen like you think. To program something, all you need to do is to have a repetition of letters, numbers, words. And it's the same way with programming your mind. I've talked to you about neural pathways. Neural pathways are created. It's almost saying that this is the brain's way of creating a habit. So a conditioning is a form of programming in which a person creates what they call those neural pathways in a person's mind by repetitively doing some sort of act that elicits a certain response, and it's done repetitively to, without fail, with consistency, get that response. So what this person that's the attacker, the perpetrator, the abuser wants to accomplish is, whenever I put this stimulus before you, I need to be able to depend on your reaction. I want you to let that sink in. Demons are notorious for it. Demons, fallen angels, that is where they learn these things from. Satan being the first one. But the reason why it's so consistent and why I have seen this over time. I mean, I've seen this, people giving the same exact story over and over and over again. These people don't know each other. But the reason why it's the same is because the outcome needs to be the same. So the person that is in control needs to know that if I do a hand signal to this child, I have developed this type of neural pathways in the brain with a sort of mind control programming that, just like a remote control, every time this person observes it, the brain is going to decode that message. Because remember, the eyes are just a pathway. You see with the eyes, but the eyes are connected to the brain. So these things are going through the eyes directly into the soul. And this person is gaining control over the soul by whatever action they have programmed the neural pathways in this person's mind to react. So, for example, for someone who has been intimately acquainted with PTSD and understands how these things work and how it is also very much weaponized and manipulated by the entire kingdom of darkness. If I'm looking at this person, I'm going to use, let me just use this example. I want to say this person is a drug addict. And I know that they're not interested in doing drugs. So what do? Well, I create trauma in this person. And I torment this person. Now you think this has got to be demons that are doing it, but they're fallen angels and human beings too. I so much torment this individual that in order to survive my torments, they're fragmented, in which I either put whatever spirit I'm trying to enter in to further control them from the inside, which is what I want to do. Then when I want to gain a control, I just exercise my control. Now, this person has decided that they didn't want to do drugs or whatever, alcohol, whatever. But this person now has my agent on the inside where that mind, will, and emotions are housed. And I'm overriding that by, by turning up that pressure. And when they do what I want them to do, I just turn down the pressure. Now, we both know that what they're doing is going to give me an excuse to do what I want to do and make it look like this person is doing this or doing that. But because I want to lead and guide them in a certain path, what I will do is to turn up the pressure on them when they're doing what I don't want them to do, and turn it down when they're doing what I want them to do, making them think that essentially doing this is helping them. So they think that they're smoking pot or drinking alcohol or smoking cigarettes or whatever it is. Whatever. I don't know all of, and I should. I'm so sorry. I'm not informed on that because I know it's all witchcraft. But I'm not very informed on what brings ups or uppers and downers. So, I will definitely. I just pray. It's all witchcraft, and it's a tool of mind control. Ultimately, that's what it is. So there's a reason why it's called pharmakeia, because that's what it's designed to do. It's a mind control tool. But anyway, so when this person drinks or smokes or whatever they do, I take the pressure off. Remember, I've got my controlling agent on the inside, pressuring them to do these things. When they do what I want them to do, the pressure's off. But I'm ultimately leading them to a goal of destruction. I hope that you're getting where I'm coming from, saints. Likewise, if this person gets deliverance and this spirit is no longer inside, they'll experience a relief because that pressure is no longer coming from the inside. So the reason why so many people go under mind control is that they start early trying to introduce these traumas, to introduce spirits that are like gatekeeping spirits, to keep letting these spirits back in. And so that's why when you are delivered, it's better to not go back to that. And it's literally a battle. It's a battle against yourself. It's a battle against your flesh. It's a battle against those spirits. It's a battle against the mindsets and the neural pathways that have been created. So, for example, I'm going to give you another example. A person decides that they're going to stand up against abuse. So now they look on the television and every single sermon is about forgiveness and authority, and how rebellious people don't want to submit to authority. And so this person will begin to think that it's God that's trying to give them a message, but really it's something that has been planted on the inside that's magnifying the part of these messages. And the funny thing about it, and I can speak to this, if they were to hear the same message when that same pressure is not being applied, they will not even get the same thing from that message, because it's not necessarily the message, it's what's on the inside that's amping up the parts of the message that's going to feed that neural pathway to keep that control. So when we're talking about the church and control and spiritual control, these are the things that we're talking about. We're talking about a form of sadistic mind control in which repetition and conditioning is used to create neural pathways of control. We're talking about a place where, handles, if you think about things, handles are the original remote control. And when you hear people using the term handlers, I want you to think about a horse and a rein. You have a horse, and I think it's called a bit. And the way that you steer that horse from side to side is by pulling it. That is what's happening here. A person is literally pulling the mind, your will, and your emotions to get a certain result. And the result is always to maintain a control, and that control is not for nothing. As sick and depraved as people are, most of the time when ritual abuse occurs at an extremely young age like that, and most of the time when rapes occur, For young and adults, this is not for the purpose of sexual gratification. It's for the purpose of control. And it's an unfortunate thing in our society that people would rather spend days and weeks and months having, scriptures and talking about whether or not a woman should preach, and if they should preach here, there, anywhere, if they should teach, going over that. We're spending days and weeks and months arguing over whether tongues have ceased, or if there's apostles in the modern day, if the fivefold ministry exists in modern days. We're spending days and weeks and months trying to figure out who the Hebrew people are, when these kind of things are of no question. There's no argument. And a lot of times, because a lot of the perpetrators of these kind of things have power and money and prestige, people don't really want to deal with it. So they want to leave it to somebody else. And so what you have is a churning of unchurched people. And I was reading a book, and this woman is a preacher, and I think it's her and her husband. But either way, she really had a ministry that was aimed towards SRA people, and she spoke about some of the difficulties that SRA people experience. And I know how that is, and it's not easy, because a lot of these people, when they come to you, they're being triggered internally. There are internal systems that have been set up inside of people to keep them under a certain control, and to create certain realities.
Thank you for checking out our video. For more information about Sanctuary Prayer Ministries, please visit www.parentsarms.com. To purchase books written by Zion Willingham, visit www.zionwillingham.com.